Hello everyone and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. And tonight's a little crazy. These cards were just revealed, so I'm on time for this one, but I was originally going to be responding to the Raise Moon and Xenovader cards that were released over the past couple of days. I did a run of that one, and then found out I didn't actually record the visuals, so I reacted again, and you can find the original audio on my Patreon. It's free of charge, it's up there for everyone. Just load it up there in case you want my first initial unfiltered thoughts. But as I was getting that upload ready, these cards were revealed, and I can't very well go so long without talking about these, so we're going to actually respond to these with my first reacts. OBS is recording, I can see it now, and then I'll tag on my secondary thoughts on the Raise Moon and Xenovader cards, and there will be a link in the description to my audio for the original one. Big ol' preamble. I took a quick overlook at the arts here, and I am loving the cards that we're going to be seeing in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Original Art Collection releases, shown off right here, including Barrel Dragon, which is like... I do the custom card reviews every month, and the July prompt was Bandit Keith support, so this is a very funny coincidence on there. Or is it the Nova support, Apollo's... prophecy hitting us once again? That's for you to decide, and for me to recover this opening, because I don't want to record again, because this is the third time I'm doing this tonight, and I've got to get in bed soon. So let's go ahead and start talking about Barrel Dragon the Machine Dragon, which, I mean, right there, that's true. A level 7 Dark Machine monster with 2600 attack and 2200 defense. You can only use the second and third effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing. Sick. During your main phase, second effect, you can add one Dark Machine monster from your deck to your hand except a copy of this card. Dark Machine's a pretty good type and attribute combo. Third, during the battle phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was sent there from the field this turn as a quick effect, you can special summon it, and if you do, toss 3 coins, then you can destroy monsters on the field up to the number of heads. So you get this back no matter what. And then you get to blast. That is outrageous. So you normal summon it, get a Dark Machine, combo off, use this as link material, and then bring this back during the battle phase and potentially kill a bunch of stuff. And then you pass on to your opponent's turn if this is still around. If your opponent destroys it and they go to the battle phase, this thing jumps out and starts shooting things again. This is a fun card. This is a funny, fun card. I wonder how splashed this will be. I imagine not much. Dark Machine decks, I think, already have a lot of consistency involved here, but this is a fun way to do an updated Barrel Dragon for sure. Wonder if we'll see... I wonder how much of the art change we'll see when it comes over to the States. Keep an eye out for this one. Next is Relinquished the Wicked Eye of Illusion, a level 1 Dark Illusion ritual. Be careful. Be careful with that phrasing. You can only use this card's first and third effect once per turn. 1. You can tribute 2 monsters, special summon this card from your hand. This is treated as a ritual summon. Oh, okay. Cool. I completely whiffed on the fact that Relinquish the Wicked Eye of Illusion is its name. Crazy. So it's just any 2 monsters, special summon this card from your hand. It doesn't let you tribute your opponent's cards, but, you know, so this is going to be pretty costly. Will it be worth it? Second, your opponent takes any damage you would have taken from battles involving this card instead. And third, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, and if you do, equip it to this card as an equip spell that gives it 2000 attack. Okay, so this does not have the relinquished text on it that like limits you to just one. You get to just keep attaching monsters to it over and over again, and it gets stronger. I don't know. The fact that it needs 2 monsters to get, like... I guess it kind of makes sense with, like, how... Because you have the one monster that would cover its level requirements, and then you have the other monster which acts as your ritual spell for this scenario, so I guess it's actually it doesn't cost as much, though because it tributes 2 monsters, it's not 2 monsters like even in your hand. It has to be on-field material. This is a little funky. I don't know about this one, especially because you made it an illusion monster that has a perfect text for not being destroyed by battle, but you didn't give it that text, and I don't know what the point is if you're not going to do that, and I'm going to move on to the next card because it's late, and I can't get too loud, and I don't want to get too mad about this. Guilford the Lightning, the Warrior of Thunderbolts, is a level 8 light warrior monster with 2800 attack and 1400 defense. You can only use this card's 3rd effect once per turn. First, you can special summon this card from your hand by attributing 3 monsters. Your opponent can't activate cards or effects when summoned this way by attributing a monster that cannot activate cards or effects when summoned this way by attributing a monsters that they own. Huh? If this card is special summoned by its 1 effect, your opponent sends all monsters they control to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, add 1 warrior monster from your deck to your hand. But it doesn't say that we can use our opponent's monsters for this. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when summoned this way by attributing a monsters that they... But how are we supposed to do that? There's no text on here that lets us do that. Maybe something will come up that will do it, but which of course might help with our relinquished friend from earlier. I guess it's also nice that it has a way to give you a card during the end phase, but I don't know. This is kind of rough. This is a rough one. Penalty game Greed, the Illusion of Avarice. Uh-oh. We're gonna be no. Ushio? The Trudge. No, Trudge. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. First effect, and only effect, if your opponent adds any number of cards from the deck to their hand except during the draw phase, inflicts 400 damage to them for each card in their hand. Then, if the total number of cards in their hand, field, and graveyard is 20 or more, you can banish their entire hand. It checks the graveyard? Okay, that can be pretty nasty. That can be pretty nasty. I'm not gonna... How... Because adding cards from their deck to their hand is not going to be difficult. Searching effects go nutty with this. And the damage is inconsequential, but getting to 20 between hand, field, and graveyard, I don't feel... That's like half of the deck, but that's not accounting for extra deck cards. This is something to keep an eye out. This is another, like, keep an eye out for sure card, because, hand ripping your opponent's entire hand can be... I guess it's also the issue is that it's a trap card, so unless you are a normal trap deck that has a way to fire this off really quickly, this might also just be too slow. If they've already gotten to 20 cards in their graveyard, no matter how they've done it, they've played a lot of cards already, so... I don't know. Nah, this might be bad. This might just be bad. It's funny, but it might not be very effective. Zombira, level 4 Dark Warrior monster, 2100 attack and 500 defense. When this card declares an attack, you lose 500 attack, and if you do, this card gains 500 attack. Ooh, a little inversion on the old Zombira. Second, when a monster is destroyed by battle, you can equip this card from your graveyard to the monster that destroyed that monster. Then you can destroy the one monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice. The equipped monster's name becomes Zombira. Also, its effects are negated when the equipped monster declares an attack. Its controller loses 500 life points, and if they do, it gains 500 attack. This is fascinating. So, you just have Zombira, like in general, 2100 attack monster. Itself gets big as it attacks. Second mode. It is either a card that makes your attacking monster stronger and then kills their highest attack monster, and you can keep doing it over and over again. It becomes like just Zombira itself. It takes up Zombira's mantle. Or, because it doesn't care whose monster is doing the destroying, if they run over your stuff, You equip Zombira to them, get rid of their name and their effect, and they lose life points every time they attack with it. Does this do anything? I don't think so. It's there's so many hoops to jump through for effects that are pretty minor, but I do like seeing Zombira getting a second shot. It looks so cool. Okay, the Evil Dragon cards. I remember seeing this from the old Shonen Jump chapters that I would read while I was still getting that, and I love Earth Dragon's design. I think as a little doodler, this thing was very, very influential on how I wanted things to be designed. Let's see what it does. Level 4 Earth Dragon, the Evil Dragon cards Earth Dragon. 1200 attack, 2000 defense, cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by revealing 3 Earth monsters in your hand, including this card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. You can reveal this card in your hand to add a dragon card from your deck to your hand and then discard a card. Dumb, stupid. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you can negate that effect. Then if a water monster is on the field, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn. Okay. Not sure where to go with this. Now, the fact that it talks about water monsters is a reference to the fact that there's like different elements for all the evil dragons. There's 5 of them: earth, metal, water, fire. It's like the classic 5 Japanese elements. And so like the water dragon combos with this for a thing. This is interesting, but I'm not sure what it really actually accomplishes. If you're playing Vernisil's, I guess this is an easy summon. Evil Dragon cards Metal Dragon, level 5 Light Dragon, 2100 attack, 1500 defense. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by revealing 3 light monsters in your hand, including this card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. Firstly, you can reveal this card in your hand to add a dragon card from your deck to your hand, then discard a card, so we can just keep cycling cards. Second, during the main phase as a quick effect, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and if you do, send this card to the graveyard. Then if an earth monster is on the field, you can draw a card. Once again, that seems not great. Like, both players are losing a monster, and then you get a draw under a certain condition. Stinky. I don't. Oh man, that's rough. I had hopes for these dragons when we saw them, but I feel like, I don't know. Maybe we'll see more. There's at least 2 other evil dragons, I'm sure, that will show up. Maybe they will help elucidate things. Super critical. The 00. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. When this card resolves, you can add 1 card with an effect that requires a die roll from your deck to your hand. Folks, the chance players, they love it. Once per chain per player. If either player rolls a 1 from a card's effect's die roll, you can activate 1 of these effects. They destroy up to 3 monsters their opponent controls. They destroy 1 monster their opponent controls, and if they do, negate the effects of 1 monster their opponent controls, or they special summon 1 monster from their graveyard. You don't say. That's... I mean, I don't know what to tell you. One of the biggest issues with dice rolling cards is that rolling the lowest number on your die rolls tends to suck, and it doesn't do much. But in this scenario, it's giving you a pretty solid upside. You either get a higher value on your die roll, or you hit rock bottom, and then you blast 3 of your opponent's monsters, or get a monster, or do the negate destruction shimmy shake. I think there are worse cards out there that involve die rolling. So super critical, very fun. Evil dragon cards, mid. Worse than mid, I would say. Zombira is more mid. There's some fun stuff, but I don't think it'll get anywhere. Greed is funny. Are we missing something from this text? Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when summoned this way by attributing a monster that they own. Let's wait. Which one though? Yeah, I'm a blank on here. If they it hasn't been revealed yet. Maybe because that would help this card out. That would help the relinquished card out. I think the Barrel Dragon is just really funny. I want this card so much. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pass us over to Past Nova to talk about the other new cards that are releasing. So don't go anywhere. Once again, if you want the audio for the next version of this, that's from the original recording, that'll be linked in the Patreon, or linked in the description that goes to the Patreon, but it's unpaywalled, so you don't have to worry about any of that. It's just a place to upload the audio. So if you want to listen to that while looking at the articles and imagine your own Nova, go right ahead. Thank you all so much. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's go on to the next one. We've got Raise Moon, a series of cards that are focused on denying searching at all. If you are tired of there being too many search effects in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can put your money where your mouth is and just draw cards off the top of your deck and see where the game takes you from there. Raise Moon Veil Cielo is a level 7 light spellcaster monster, 2100 attack and defense. Important note, they're all going to be level 7s because it's casino time. We are playing slots here. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. When you draw this card, you can reveal it to special summon it. We are going to see this on all of the monsters because that's the trick here. We draw it, you get to summon it, and then generally if you summon the card, you get to draw again, and that causes a bit of a chain reaction. Second effect, if this card is in your hand, you can place one other card from your hand or face-up field on the bottom of your deck to special summon this card, so we have a way to get it onto the field. And then thirdly, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can just draw a card. You cannot add cards from your deck to your hand at the turn you activate this effect, except by drawing them. It does not say for the rest of the turn, but as we will see later, there is an effect that puts that over you the entire duel, so don't do anything that adds cards from your deck to your hand. Adding from graveyard or banishment or whatever, that's fine. Just don't pick it from the deck. Next is Elegance Carol, level 7 Dark Zombie, 1400 attack and defense. Draw it, reveal it to special summon it. You can normal summon it without tributing, but its original attack becomes 700, but its original stats weren't anything great weren't great anyway, so it's fine. The important thing is that it triggers its normal or special summon effect. You can draw a card, but you are limited from special summoning from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Light Exceeds monsters, and then it also places the search block on you for the entire turn. So Light Exceeds monsters are going to be a big deal moving forward. So already start making a list of all the good levels, rank 7 light ones. Raise Moon Wings Rappy is a Earth Beast, 700 attack, 2100 defense. When you draw it, you can reveal it to special summon it. If this card is normal or special summoned, draw a card, and then it locks us into Light Exceeds, and we can't search. Basically, what this does is that we will draw into them, summon it, and then we have a chance to draw again, which we will, if it's a Raise Moon, we summon it, and then we have to draw again. Basically, flooding your field as long as the top few cards of your decks are on theme monsters. And then third, once per opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can immediately after this effect resolves, Exceed summon a rank 7 light monster. This is going to be very useful because we will have opportunities to trigger this potential summon chain during our opponent's turn, so Rappy will be integral in our quest to utilize that material, because otherwise they're just a bunch of big vanillas. Raise Moon Blade Shayna, level 7 Wind Warrior, 2800 attack, 2400 defense. The most... Wait a sec. Oh, important thing here. I did not see this the first time around. I was crushed, absolutely destroyed to see that there was a monster with a 2400 defense stat line, because so far all of their stats have been multiples of 7, but as we can see on the print here, the defense is 1400. So Shayna is on theme and looking green. It's a very good green. So, you can only use the third effect of this card once per turn. If you draw it, reveal it, special summon it. Second, if this card is special summoned by its one effect, you can target one monster your opponent controls and place it on the bottom of the deck. So we've got some monster removal if we're able to get this onto the field, notably, or get this onto the field via its top deck effect. Notably, though, this does not cause us to draw a card, so Shayna can be the end of a summon chain, though it ends on some removal, which I'm not upset about. Third, you can discard this card to draw a card, and then it imposes the no searching for the turn. This means that if you draw it in your opening hand, it's not necessarily a dud because you can pitch it to get a draw chain started. We're going to see something similar with Raise Moon Lamp Crocheter, level 7 Fire Dragon, 2800 attack, 700 defense. If you draw it, reveal it, special summon it. If it's special summoned by its first effect, you can target a spell or trap card your opponent controls and place it on the bottom of their deck. So this is the spell and trap removal to Blade up there. Third, you can discard this card to draw a card. So it's also a way to get summon chains started. This also sets them up as the bouncers for the club. Shayna's got the Blade, Lamp's got the Knuckles, which is just so cool looking. I like to imagine... and by imagine, I mean 5 seconds ago, and I just thought of this, that this is a Dragon Maid, that this takes place in the Dragon Maid universe, and this is a Dragon Maid. This is a Dragon Maid, this is the same species, they are working in a different profession, but they are pulling the same nonsense. And then we have Raise Moon Starter Squeeze, level 7 Water Aqua, 700 attack, 1400 defense, plushie time! Plushies! So you cannot add cards from your deck to your hand during the duel that you activate this card's effect. So you are committing to the bit, and potentially you could avoid using this in your Raise Moon deck, but I don't think you'll want to because the effect is pretty silly. As a quick effect, you can discard this card, then activate one of these effects, but you can only use each of these effects of this card's name once per turn. So if you draw into 2 of them, you can activate both in the same turn. You just have to make sure you use a different effect. The second one is simple. You draw a card. It's like a lot of our other ones. It kind of works like the bouncers, where we can just pitch it to draw at almost any time to get a summon chain started. But the first mode of it is pretty wild. You cannot special summon from the extra deck until the end of your next turn except rank 7 monsters, which we will have. Also this turn, each time a card is added to your opponent's hand except by drawing it, you draw a card. So it is another lingering draw effect. This time, if they're searching their deck, if you're not in the mirror match, you're going to get a draw every time they search stuff up. Now, I'm only thinking about this now because one of my end observations was that this deck is like undrollable, but notably a lot of decks have been made nowadays where their consistency engines use ways that would get around the droll normally. So like sending a card to the graveyard and adding it to the hand. Now, notably, the next thing that I am realizing as I read this is that it only checks to see if a card is added to the opponent's hand except by drawing it. So actually, it does not matter that things can get around droll. If they pick a card up from their graveyard and put it up into their hand, that counts and you draw a card. That is very silly. This works in a ton of different scenarios. The only thing that it doesn't work against is if your opponent Mulcharmies you, but the funny thing here is that during turn 0, this works very well with Mulcharmies. If you fire that off beforehand, you have more ways to draw into cards, which will get you hopefully into Starter Squeeze, which you can then play on top of the Mulcharmy lingering effect. And then you just go to town with draws forever and ever and ever, and each time you draw a Raise Moon, you potentially get into a summon chain from there. So, horrifying stuff. Xyz monsters. These are what Rappy's going to get us into if we are summoning during the opponent's turn. Raise Moon Sky Cielo No More Bets is a rank 7 light spellcaster Xyz monster. 2100 attack and defense, requires 2 level 7 Raise Moon monsters. Cannot be used as material for a fusion, Xyz, or link summon. After having spoken about this beforehand, I'm not entirely sure why this restriction is here. We are, I guess because it limits our usage of Xyz summoning here. I didn't quite clock that. I saw 3 summoning methods and I filled in everything but Xyz, but Xyz is in here, so I presume this is to keep us from using rank up magics on it, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what the draw is on that one. It gains the following effects while in the extra monster zone. It's unaffected by other cards' effects, which is pretty wild. It means that battle is the only way that this is getting run over. Battle in like kaiju style effects. But at 2100 stats, it's not difficult to run over. And even if we do get an attack gaining effect, this is unaffected by our cards as well. When an opponent's activated card or effect resolves that includes an effect that adds a card from their deck to their hand, you can make that effect become draw a card. This does mean that we are not getting a draw off of our squeeze, but we are turning all of our opponent's tutor effects into, nope, it better be the top card of your deck or it doesn't matter. Granted, this does have the possibility of turning cards that otherwise would search nothing to help them in a given scenario into a way to get out of a scenario if they randomly draw into it, but I will take my chances on the random top deck as opposed to them being able to grab the card that furthers their engine. Lastly, once per turn as a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card to draw a card. So unrestricted draw just gives you a way to start a new summon chain or just put more cards in your hand. Outrageous stuff. If this card in its owner's possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent, you can draw a card. So that's if they get rid of it, boom. That's more ways to draw, more ways to start summoning chains. Very wild card, which I shouldn't be saying because there's no poker cards on this at all. But I'm digging what this is applying, though I am worried that there are too many like lingering effects that change how other cards work, especially searching, because so much of Yu-Gi-Oh is built on that. But we'll see how that goes. Next up is Raise Moon Hope Squeeze Jackpot, a level 7 light machine Xyz monster with 1400 attack and 2800 defense. Kind of giving vibes of that old prize card. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's that giant mechanical turtle that I believe was also a Las Vegas reference. It requires 2 or more level 7 monsters as material, which means that you can use 3, so you can get 3 7s on here if you want to. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Firstly, your opponent's monsters cannot target monsters for attacks except this one. So this is, I'm also clocking this just now. Having the second pass through is actually really good for finding out synergies here. This does draw attacks away from no more bets. That was probably the most difficult thing about it, is that anything decently sized could run over it. Well, Jackpot's like, ah-da-da-da-da. You got to get over my 2800 point butt first. Second, if this card is Xyz summoned or any number of monsters are special summoned from the hand, you can detach any number of materials from this card to place that many cards your opponent controls on the bottom of the deck in any order. This makes this just good in any rank 7 deck. You make it with any 2 or more, detach the material immediately, put those cards back, not shuffle, put them on the bottom of the deck. That is so funny. That is so funny. Spacebar, stop that. And then thirdly, once each time your opponent makes a card leave... I still can't believe this is a line of text. Each time your opponent makes a card leave their deck, except by drawing them, you can attach the top card of their deck to this card. So we are doing Time Thief Redoer nonsense anytime a card leaves their deck. It's like when you trigger Quem. Because a card left the extra deck. You're always looking for whatever things change that. So like if they draw, except by drawing, obviously. So if they search a card, if they mill a card, if they send it from deck to the graveyard, you just get to steal a card on it. And that's more removal that you can trigger eventually at some point. These cards are just so wild. I love every second of them. And we're not even done yet because we have 2 more cards. Yeah, 2 more cards that are doing some nonsense. Raise Moon, the city that never sleeps, establishes that Raise Moon is the name of the city. So that's pretty cool. It's a continuous spell, not a field spell, even though this is giving mad field spell energy. I don't know what's happening with that. The first time each level 7 Raise Moon monster you control would be destroyed by a card effect each turn, it is not destroyed. This precludes our Xyz monsters, which, I guess now that I think about it, kind of makes sense, because as long as we have them in the extra monster zone, then no more bets doesn't need protection because it can't be affected by anything, which just leaves our Tortoise, which, I guess is fair game to get rid of. I don't know. Still feels weird that it isn't just Raise Moon monsters, but oh well. First time each level 7 Raise Moon monster control will be destroyed by a card effect each turn. Okay, there we go. I was looking for the each turn thing. It's like, is it just once? Okay, second though, really good effect. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Place one card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck, then draw a card. So if you have one of those Raise Moons in your hand and you want to trigger their summon, you can just place it and then draw it and then bam. So it's just like a free way to special summon. Or if you control a spellcaster Raise Moon Xyz monster, which is no more bets, you just get to draw a card. You don't have to set a card on top. You can if you want to, because it lets you pick one of them. But if you're not trying to set something like that up and you just want the unrestricted draw, if you want that next card at the top of your deck without bottoming anything, you can just draw it. Notably, though, this works really well with if we have any decks that, or if we add any engines that have garnets in them, this works really well with it because now we can just take those cards and put them away and replace them with a new card. So you love to see garnet enablers, folks. And then lastly, once per turn during the end phase, shuffle all Raise Moon cards in your graveyard and banishment into the deck. So this puts all of our monsters back into our main deck, so that's more hits that we get off of our draw summon chains, which is really good. Notably, though, this does keep us honest with the no adding cards to your hand, you just draw them. Because now we make it less consistent to like throw cards into the graveyard and summon them that way. We aren't going to be adding any Reanimator style effects. We just want to draw off the top. That's all we want to do. That's all we're ever going to do. And the City That Never Sleeps is going to ensure that our cards never sleep. And lastly, we have the Glitter of Raise Moon, a normal trap card. If you use the second effect of this card, or you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn, and you can't add cards from your deck to your hand during the duel you activate either of these cards' effect. So it's like with Squeeze. You are committing to the no search philosophy. First effect, special summon a Raise Moon Xyz monster from your extra deck, and if you do, attach this card to it. Then you can shuffle all Raise Moon cards in your graveyard into the deck. So this is just a, you don't even have to get the material involved. You can just flip the trap card, put No More Bets into the extra monster zone if you want immediately. You can spend all of your hard-earned Xyz monster material on your turtle so that you can remove as many cards as possible. And second, you can banish this card from your graveyard to draw a card, which is another way to start another summon chain, and it gets all shuffled into your deck anyway, as long as you have the City That Never Sleeps. So we're going to keep getting this card out. We're going to keep activating its effect. We're going to keep discarding it if we want to. Hopefully, there's no discard effects here. But if it gets into the graveyard, it's another draw effect that we will recycle. These cards are outrageous. Like I said previously, they chain with Mulcharmies in a way that I find particularly terrifying. Also, I saw someone post that Fortune Fairies might have a home because this is a lot of drawing, and they can be summoned when you draw them. The question is, are their effects even worth it? Tune in next time when I do Raise Moon Explained and I use that as a tech pick, and we will see how they synergize. Next up is going to be Xenovader Delta. This is a theme of psychic monsters who, all of them when summoned, banish a number of cards off the top of your deck face down equal to their level. That's not technically the text, but it always matches them. It is a deck that wants to banish its cards face down. It wants to do it. It interacts with its face down banished cards. It does cheat a bit because it does mention them by name, and of course, with specific rules, it does let us look at our face down banished cards if it mentions any properties of them, as opposed to normal effects. Otherwise, that would be all like, oh, well, you can't interact with them because this card's just a banished monster, and you don't know what that is. Previously, it was Psyframe Lord Omega that was the best way to interact with your face-down banishment, but this theme is looking to take that to the next level. And spoilers, it's pretty good. So, Emptiness Gehenna, you summon from hand for free if you don't control any monsters. If this card is normal or special summoned, you banish the top card of your deck. Third, during the main phase, you can add up to 2 of your face-down banished Xenovator Delta monsters with different names to your hand. So the more of the face-down banishment that you put together, the more options that you will have. Also, you can't activate cards or effects for the rest of the turn except Xenovator Deltas. That's going to be a pretty big through line through a lot of these. Not that I know a lot of decks that would function well with the face-down banishment, but it does keep us fairly in line. It does keep us fairly in theme for this deck. Next up is Xenovator Delta of Sky Sheol, a level 2 light psychic monster, 1200 attack, 200 defense, so we are still in emergency teleport range. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, if you control a Xenovator Delta monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, so as long as you've got an establishment, you can go ahead and put this onto the field. This will, of course, banish the top 2 of your deck face down. During the main phase, you can add up to 2 of your face down banished Xenovator Delta spell or trap cards to your hand. Also, you cannot activate cards or effects for the rest of this turn except Xenovator Delta cards or effects. So, Gehenna is going to get you monsters, and Sheol is going to get you spells and traps. So you want to get these, get that face down banishment pile as big as possible. Boy howdy, do you want that to go wild. Also, notably, there's a bunch of afterlife references in all of these names. It's all a place of the dead or represents gods of the dead. Very, very death energy on this one. So, despite the bright, pretty colors, there's a little mischievous death energy going on here. Next up is Xenovator Delta of Blue Twinella, a level 3 water psychic effect monster, 300 attack, 2000 defense. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. Banishes the top 3 when summoned, and during your main phase, you can special summon one of your face down banished level 5 or higher Xenovator Delta monsters, applying the Xenovator only effect. It seems basically anytime we use our third effect, we get Xeno locked into Xenovaders. This is good, so the more we banish, the more choices we have, and we want to get those level 5 ones in there as soon as possible, so Twinella can bring them out, and it pairs very well with Scarlet Naraka, a level 4 fire psychic monster, 1700 attack, 400 defense. If your opponent special summons a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, so hello turn 0 play. It banishes the top 4 cards of our deck face down, and during our opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, continuing to be a strong play to do during our opponent's first turn, you can special summon one of your face down banished level 5 or higher Xenovator Deltas. So if there's a big one in our top 4, Scarlet can be all like, and also they're bringing along a friend. Next up, level 5, Light Psychic Sky Thunder, Xenovator Delta Yomi, which seems to be a evolved version of Sheol. They've got kind of a similar body type thing going on here. 1000 attack, 2500 defense. You can only use this card's one effect once per turn. First effect, you can reveal this card in your hand, banish it face down, and if you do, add one of your face down banished Xenovator Delta cards to your hand except a level 5 monster. I am realizing now that is not shared among... Oh no, it is kind of shared among the next 3. When I first saw this, I'm like, oh, hopefully this holds where we get to banish them face down from our hands so that we can set them up and do a thing because they're too high level to summon by themselves. And then for a second I thought, no, only Yomi does it, but no, they all have a way to do it, which is great. Second, if this card is normally special summoned, top 5 get banished. And once per turn, as the third effect, when your opponent activates a monster effect, as a quick effect, you can shuffle one of your face-down banished Xenovator Delta monsters with the same attribute into the deck, and if you do, negate the activation. Now, it does not destroy, but I do think this is probably the coolest application of the face-down banishment mechanic so far. The idea that you have the spread of cards that your opponent will not know about, because there is not a card so far that lets you see your opponent's face-down banishment. You cannot know what attributes are safe to commit to until it happens. And I think that is just really cool and really fun. And I believe this plays out further in Burial Summit Xenovator Delta Helheim, a level 6 Earth Psychic with 2400 attack and 1200 defense, just shy of Monarch stats. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can reveal this card in your hands to banish it face down, and if you do, special summon one of your face down banished Xenovator Deltas except a level 6 monster. Notably, all of the levels have been unique so far, so it basically just says special summon any of your differently named Xenovator Deltas. So if you get some turn 0 play stuff and this card is also in your hand, if you've done some face down banishing, you get to go nutty. Banishes the top 6 face down when it's summoned, and third effect waltz on the field. Other Xenovator Delta cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target them with card effects. We are going to have some face-up spell and trap cards later on, so this will provide protection to them, and they are very good, but it also runs interference for your monsters. Notably, while the targeting effect cannot be applied retroactively, because it prevents destruction, if you're able to quick summon this, you can also prevent some destruction effects from your opponent. This is one that I was really into. So Mad Tempest Xenovator Delta Plutonian is a level 7 wind psychic, 2100 attack, 2800 defense. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn, which is, as a quick effect, you can reveal this card and one other Xenovator Delta card in your hand to banish both face down, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So you can draw into your turn 0 plays while filling your face down banishment with more cards to play with those cards. Solid effect. Banishes 7 when summoned, very good. And then third, once per turn as a quick effect, you can shuffle one of your face down banished Xenovator Delta monsters into the deck. Then you can shuffle one monster your opponent controls with the same attribute into the deck. So like with Burial Summit Helheim, we are trying to match attributes. That's why we have all 6 attributes in our theme. As long as we've got one loaded up, we can just ping a monster, and our opponent's not going to know which ones are going to be safe or not until we decide to show it off. Wow, another level 7 wind psychic monster being wild. I never would have suspected that that was a thing that could have happened a second time. Okay. The big boss, Emptiness Devouring Xenovator Delta Jahannam. Level 8 Dark Psychic, 3000 attack, 2400 defense. If this card is normally or special summoned, you banish the top 8 cards of your deck face down, and it gains the following effects based on the total number of face down banished cards. Notably, this does not check our face down banished cards. It checks our opponents as well. I did not catch that, so that's another way to play fewer cards. We'll get to what I mean by that in just a second. If there are 10 or more in total, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. Once again, not my favorite effect to see on monsters with huge stat lines, but it can be helpful. 20 or more, once per turn as a quick effect, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. Solid to have some removal on hand. If there are 30 or more face-down banished cards once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can add one of your face-down banished cards to your hand. And with 40 or more, skip both players' draw phases. Uh-oh, that's a little scary, but we are talking about taking 40 of your cards and throwing them into the pit forever. So, whether or not it's a fair trade-off, it remains to be seen. I do think this is kind of brilliant card design, though, because the thing that would be a detriment here is if you banished your entire deck, you would eventually draw from an empty deck of cards, and you would automatically lose by the rules of the game. But not only are you skipping your opponent's draw phases so that they can't get fresh cards, by skipping your own draw phase, you are making it so that you cannot lose the game from decking out. Isn't that hilarious? Also, notably, you do kind of get a draw phase because of the 30 plus effect. You're always getting a face down banished card to your hand during your opponent's end phase. I guess just make sure you don't dip below 40 when you do that if you have an empty deck. This card is just so cool. I really dig this card. It's fantastic. Okay, 2 more. We have Xenovator Delta Territory Valvol's field spell card. Activate this card by banishing face down 5 cards from your grave and or the top of your deck. That's awesome, because if you have cards that are like stranded in your graveyard that you want to have set up in your face down banishment, you can do this. But if you don't have any, or if your graveyard is not full enough for that, you can just pick from the top of your deck. It's fine. What it does during your main phase, first effect, you can add one of your face-down banished Xenovator Delta cards to your hand except copies of this card. So if there is a Xenovator Delta in your graveyard, you can just pick it right up by effectively banishing it with the activation of Valvol's and then putting it into your hand. Second, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during your turn while you control a level 5 or higher Xenovator Delta monster, and you have no cards in your deck. So it really wants you to shred your main deck as soon as humanly possible, because then it just silences your opponent. They will do nothing. That is not happening ever again. They will not be activating stuff. You will just blow them up. Your combo line will go interrupted. You will win. Last card is Xenovator Delta Judgment, a continuous trap card. If your opponent normal or special summons any number of monsters, you can target one of them. Choose one of your face-down banished Xenovator Delta monsters with the same attribute and either add it to your hand or special summon it. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot choose the same attribute again with this effect of this card's name, and you cannot activate cards or effects except Xenovator Delta cards in effect. So if they summon a fire, you summon a fire. If they summon an earth, you summon an earth. Which I think is very cool. It loses utility the more narrow our opponent's attributes are, but the extra deck can be a silly thing and add attributes that otherwise would not show up in certain decks. So there's always a chance that you could summon the Wind Delta guy thing. you never know. And once per battle during damage calculation, if your Xenovator Delta monster battled an opponent's monster and you have no cards in your deck, you can make that opponent's monster's attack become a 0. So you just win all of your battles. If you have the trap card in play once your deck is empty, if you have the field spell in play and your deck is empty, your opponent is not allowed to do anything during your turn, and if it's all gone and you have your big boss monster, they can't draw for their draw phase. This is a mean deck, but it is so cool. These are really nifty. I love them. And just to make sure that we cover all the things that I didn't cover because of weird recording things, quick thoughts on Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, the God Surpassing Servant. It is a level 12 light dragon fusion monster, 4500 attack, 3800 defense, requires 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. What else could it possibly use? You can only use the third effect of this card's name thrice per turn. Oh no. First effect, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and is also unaffected by your opponent's activated card effects during their turn, so they will have to use quick effects to get rid of this. Second effect, it can make a second and third attack during each battle phase. It does not have to be restricted to monsters, so it is going to be putting in some work. Dealing, what is that? 13,500 potential damage every time it goes to a battle phase. And then third, once per chain, during the battle phase, as a quick effect, you can target a monster your opponent controls that was special summoned to this turn, or a face-down card they control, and destroy it. So anything that they summon to fight this on that same turn is subject to a little bit of blasting. If they try to set some cards, notably they can wait until main phase 2 to set, because this only activates during the battle phase, so set cards are not necessarily in danger from this if you just play correctly, but it is more value you can get out of this if your opponent gets sloppy and leaves a couple of face down cards lying around the field. That being said, I think this card is kind of Blue Eyes are not looking for more ways to deal damage. They have plenty of gigantic boss monsters that are already doing that, that utilize similarly named material for stuff. I'm kind of torn on this one. I just don't think this is, like, it's good. I'm just not, like, going crazy over it. But it's cool to see this. What do you think, though? Am I missing something about this Blue Eyes? I want to know. I want to see if there's any hype on this one, or if I've actually managed to hit the nail on the head for this one. I also want to hear what you think of the other themes, because like I said, these cards are so interesting. I love playing with the face-down banishment as a self-banishing deck with a hidden information modifier that bypasses most of these newer cards' abilities to see into the hand. And all of the quick effects from hand mean that you're like always playing this deck with the risk of you might just like get rid of all of your cards before establishing the way to keep yourself safe. And Ray's Moon is fantastic for its ability to just eschew one of the pinnacles of deck building nowadays and just play off of what's on the top of the deck. It's so thematic in everything that it does. The sevens, the drawing, it's just... God, it is just so good. I can't wait to see this deck in action, even though Starter Squeeze plus Mulch Army is kind of making me feel a little squeamish about the whole situation. Like, both of them can play into each other, right? I talked earlier about how you could fire off a Molcharmy and then draw into a starter squeeze, but you could just as easily fire off a starter squeeze while your opponent is building up. And then as long as you commit to not special summoning any of the Raise Moons that you draw, as long as you wait for a Molcharmy, you can trigger then, and then you can, whatever you draw off of those, you just get to summon off of that. God, these cards are so cool. I love these cards. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. What are the rank 7 monsters you're going to put into Raise Moon? And what cards are you going to put into your extra deck for Xenovator Delta just for Eater of Millions to send them all away? Because it can eat 5 or more cards when you summon it. Did you know that? I forget this every few years, but Eater of Millions can do that. It's very funky. So, let me know your thoughts down below. And until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and Ignavius, Nebula Navigator's 3rd Dynasty, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Beastsman, Charlie Mercury, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Eric, Frankie, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Japan Man, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminer, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, That One Dumbass, The Critic of Innocence and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders, Animasta, Anthrak, Anything You Can Say, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Cool Trainer Dark, Datenchi 67, Dr. Entity RIP, Drachenwald, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Kryptonian Blurred, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Millennia Asta, Mr. Machina, Natiel the Alexander, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Papa Cosmic, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Seraph SG, Shizuka Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Sonic 21 Blast, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, Tiger X2476, Tristan O'Meara, Rider 2400, Zayden, Zaldrika, and Zentha, as well as all the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.